I've been trying to answer a question for a long period of time now, and that is, what does it mean when art has soul? I've been trying to answer this question since 2019, and I have never come up with a satisfactory answer. That being said, I've decided to start a little bit of an exploration into that by going over the planetary exaltations and the art forms that exemplify them. So, I am Dave the Amateur Magus. On this channel I talk all about the mechanics behind ceremonial magic, occultism, esotericism, and the mechanics behind everything you can find within a dusty old grimoire. If you enjoy what I do here and you want to support the channel, link in the description to the Patreon where you can get exclusive access to videos early, Patreon exclusive content, and the Occultic Manual series, which is a monthly write-up that I aim at being more instructional than what I have here on the channel, but less unapproachable than some of the old grimoires I like to talk about on the channel. If any of that sounds of interest to you, hope to see you down there. And for those wondering, yes, I still do offer consultations and astrology readings. Link to those in the description. You can reach out to me either through email or social media. I've decided to start this little trek down the planetary exaltations with Venus, the planet of art that gave me this question in the first place. Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces. Now, when I go through and I try to find media that is related to the placement of Venus in Pisces, you're going to find love songs. Pisces is the sign of music, and you are going to find that Venus, being the artistic planet, is going to have beautiful music. Now, this is obviously going to be Venus and Pisces. However, this doesn't really tell us what these are going to be other than potentially love songs. Venus is going to be all about love and beauty and art and all of that, and Pisces, being the sign of music, is going to play very well into these love songs. This is why the number one kind of music you find on any channel, on any era, is going to be some form of love music. You are going to find some kind of love music in any portion of the world at any given time. Whether that be singing about wanting a girl, singing about how amazing your girlfriend is, singing about how great your boyfriend is, etc., etc. Now, there's actually two exaltations that deal with love. One of them is going to be Venus in Pisces, the other is going to be Saturn in Libra. Saturn in Libra we will save for another time because it has a perfect example of a movie for it. However, when it comes to movies that are more evocative of Venus in Pisces, this is going to be a little bit more difficult to actually explain because a lot of them are going to be as cut and dry as Saturn in Libra. Saturn in Libra, we can look at the Titanic movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and we can see that, yes, they're doomed star-crossed lovers, as that is effectively Romeo and Juliet on the Titanic. That's kind of what that movie is. But when it comes to Venus in Pisces, we have to look for more interesting examples, because Venus in Pisces is evocative of this dreamlike happy ending, right? Venus in Pisces is the love story ending. Pisces is the sign of endings, so we need to look at the fairy tale endings in order to find our examples. Now, the best example for this is going to be one of the best examples that I could think of for this placement, movie-wise and media-wise, to get you kind of in the headspace of it, is actually Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is the story of a woman falling in love with the Beast. Now, I'm specifically talking about the 1991 Disney animated film. I am not talking about the remakes. We're not talking about the story is about a woman named Belle who is taken in and is slowly over the course of the movie falling in love with a prince who has been turned into a beast by a witch disguised as a old beggar lady, and she curses the beast for his selfish behavior. And she basically curses him in order to make it so that he can only turn back by having somebody fall in love with him. This is the premise of the movie. Now, I'm going to let you go watch the movie, but this is the premise of basically every story involving Venus in Pisces. They are going to be some kind of love story where the two unlikely people are going to fall in love, and they are going to spend the entire movie, or whatever story they're trying to do, falling in love, and at the end they're finally going to be in love and have their happily ever after. Now, as for the most on-the-nose example of Venus and Pisces, we have The Shape of Water from 2017. Guillermo del Toro created what is effectively the greatest movie monster love story ever created. So in the movie The Shape of Water, the janitor at a high-tech government facility is mute. She cannot speak, and so she ends up getting assigned to clean the cage of a monster that is a fishman, and she ends up falling in love with this fishman. The entire rest of the movie is her going through and deepening the relationship between her and the fishman, and eventually she realizes that in order for him to live, she needs to set him free in the ocean because he is starting to die. He is just, like, getting more sick, and so it is a love will set you free type of story. Now, the ending of the movie, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but there is a happily ever after at the end of that movie between the girl and the fishman, and the entire story is then told from the perspective of one of the main characters of the movie. Again, I'm trying to avoid major spoilers, but The Shape of Water, you know what you're getting into if you hear it's a monster love story. It's called The Shape of Water, you kind of can see what's going to happen. I've selected these two movies in order to illustrate the aspects of Venus in Pisces that are all about the love aspects. These are all about, yes, I've fallen in love with this person, but I'm going to sacrifice my happiness for them. At one point in the movie, they both have this situation, and the person who is sacrificing is incredibly sad about it, but they accept the situation for what it is, and they try to go through it anyways. Orson Welles had a wonderful quote about happy endings that I'm going to read now. If you want a happy ending, that depends, of course, on where you stop your story. This is important because when it comes to the sign of Pisces is trying to discover the entire world. It's trying to figure out what love is, right? That's what Pisces does. Sagittarius tries to figure out what it is and where it belongs in its relation to the world, but Pisces is trying to figure out the world itself. So when we look at Pisces, it's trying to, in a very dreamlike, whimsical way, understand love when it is exalting Venus. It's trying to understand what love is and how love works in a very rudimentary way. This is why it is usually between some kind of creature that doesn't understand what love is, or some person who doesn't understand what love is, and someone who is trying to get it or is starting to come around to being in love with someone. This is part of the issue with love spells, by the way. Most people who are trying to get love are not like the person trying to fall in love. They are like the unlovable curmudgeon that is just kind of bitter, angry, and alone. They're more like the beast than they are the beauty. We will put it that way. And the lesson that we should be taking from Venus in Pisces is that if you want love, you have to be able to love in return. You can't just expect to be loved if you are not trying to love. This is something that, in the Beauty and the Beast example, Beast tries to learn how to love. He tries to actually, and he does genuinely start to love Belle, but he has difficulty expressing that. That is why it is so important to learn. We need to learn how to love in order to be loved, which is what Venus in Pisces is trying to teach us. Now, with the other Venus placements, Venus in Taurus and Venus in Libra, these are going to explain, like, how we can make the relationship work long term, but for the short term, we need Venus to allow us to learn how to love. Love is a thing that everyone needs. People need to feel like they belong, and people need to feel strong emotional connections with one another in order for them to actually feel completely psychologically whole. You need some amount of love. Now, there are 7 different forms of love, and I'm primarily talking about romantic love in this video, but it's similar with all of the different kinds of love. If you want to have friends, you need to learn how to be a friend. That is what you should have learned in childhood, and if you haven't, I'm sorry, but that is what is an issue with a lot of people. Now, there is one kind of love that I want to end this video on, and that is the divine love. Pisces is the sign of religion. It is the sign of specifically spirituality. It is more the sign of the connection with the divine itself. And this is Venus. When Venus is exalted in Pisces, that connection with the divine is divine love, right? If we take that aspect of Pisces and filter it through Venus, it is divine love, or agape. This is the love that is at the primary forefront of the philosophy of Thelema. And this is where it comes from. It comes from this the divine loves everyone, and we are trying to love the divine. But as with all loves, we need to learn how that works. We need to learn how to do that. And that is where spirituality comes in. This is ultimately, I think, the core and honestly probably the best lesson we can learn from these, is that we need to learn how to love in order to be loved. In the case of the divine love that I'm ending this video on, there is a saying that God meets you halfway. And when it comes to divine love, we need to learn how to meet God halfway. I have been Dave the Amateur Magus. Hope you guys are having a good day. If not having a good day, hope your day gets better. Take it easy, take care, and I will see you next time.